Welcome to MellyS The Story Collector web TV, where each week we bring you inspiring stories from courageous individuals about the moments and experiences that have shaped their lives. In this episode, we're talking with the courageous Sue about how listening to her intuition, even though it went against medical advice, saved her life.
My story is about my breast cancer, and even though it's a very personal and quite often a lonely journey, it carries such a profoundly strong public message. So I want to share that, and because my intuition played such a huge a role in my whole experience. So I want to share that with people, to trust their intuition.
Wow, and trusting your intuition can be a big thing for a lot of people, can't it?
For sure, because just discerning whether it is your intuition, what is it? Is it doubt? Is it, a higher level of consciousness? Is it head talk? Is it signs of craziness? What is it? People disregard it, I think. We disregard it too often. But I read a quote the other day that said that our gut is our intuition, really. It's our mind, it's our whisperer. Our gut is our intuition whisperer. I think that was it. And I thought, oh, yeah, so true.
I love it. I love it. So where did all this start for you then? Where does your story begin?
It started one day back in June of 2014. I went and checked the mail and I got a white envelope, a crisp white envelope. And I opened it and it was my reminder to go for my mammogram. Every 2 years, and a free mammogram that the government, Queensland Health, promote. And I've been doing this for, 8 years, Melly. Every 2 years you go from the age of 40, and they've never detected anything. And I thought I was just being responsible. It was free. Why not do it? So I thought, oh, okay, gee, that came around quickly. Where did the last 2 years go? So I ring the little magic 13 number to make an appointment. And the first thing I ask is, do you have the mobile van close by to my township? Because I was living in far north Queensland and about an hour and a half from Cairns up in the mountains. So it was really, yes, quite remote.
Yeah.
And it was really convenient when they had this little caravan with a mammogram in it and a machine in it, and it was awesome to be able to conveniently go, 15 minutes down the road as opposed to an hour and a half. And I said, oh, do you have the mobile van, in my next town? And she said, oh, you've just missed it. It lifted anchor about 3 weeks ago, and it's moved on to another town, which was about an hour and a half away. And she said, oh, what, are you not available to come down to Cairns for the appointment? And I stood there and thought, oh, yeah, I have to close my business for the day. It's really like a day. You hold on for the whole day,
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, I can come. I'm just wondering, when is it back again, the little mobile van? And she said, oh, another 6 months in January of next year. And, for a moment, Melly, there was this synchronized wave of thought I felt between this receptionist and myself of, oh, she could probably leave it another 6 months. There's never been anything they've detected before. What are the chances of, anything happening? And then all of a sudden I said, no, it's all right. Yeah, I'll come down. Let's make the appointment for Cairns. So we made the appointment for my routine mammogram in Cairns, an hour and a half away, for whatever, next week. So I went down, had the routine mammogram, came home and everything, it's just normal. You only hear anything if you don't need to hear anything. And about 10 days later, I got a phone call and said, oh, look, we found this shadow on the mammogram. It's probably nothing. Don't worry about it. It's probably nothing, but routinely we should get you back to just check that it is that nothing that we think. I was like, oh, okay. Can you come, the next, I think it was 2 days later or something. So again, pack up the car, go down for the day. And they said, this shadow is kind of interesting and deep within my left breast. And they did an ultrasound, they did a mammogram and then an ultrasound, and they really felt that there needed to be a thin needle biopsy where they would aspirate, pull the syringe to take something out. But the bugger of this mass or shadow, whatever we're going to call it at that time, it just kind of kept moving. My breast just wouldn't stay still for them to get in. holding the breast and trying to find it on the ultrasound to put the needle in. And they said,
That
oh,
would
you
have
know
been
what?
painful.
Well, I don't have a phobia with needles at all, but it was just this elusive thing. Like, why can't we find it? We can see it under the paddle of the ultrasound, but as soon as you go anywhere near it with the needle, it kind of moves, and they're chasing it around. And they said, oh, we think we're going to have to do this needle aspiration under mammogram. We're going to have to squish your breast in the sandwich, and because then the mass will stay still, and then we can go in and just see whether it's just ductal tissue or what, you know. But the thing is, we're not allowed to do that here in Cairns without a specialist in Brisbane being here. And he doesn't come until Friday, 2 days' time. So do you mind getting dressed, going home, drive back up the mountain an hour and a half, and come back in 2 days' time when we can do it? I thought, well, what choice do I have? Of course, you want it to be done.
Yeah, it's not really a choice, is it?
No. And it made no difference if I gave, signed a declaration saying, I don't mind if you do it. So, it drags on, and still we're just talking about a shadow that we don't think is, anything yet. But that question mark hovers over your head. So go back again 2 days' time. So it's a Friday now. I go, the specialist is there. Yeah, they squish the breast in the mammogram machine and put the needle in. They do markers and everything, and they aspirate it. And at that time, I remember the doctor looking at me and saying, okay, this is interesting. We'll put a rush on these results, but I'm afraid we won't get back to you till Monday. I had the whole weekend to wait because it was Friday. And she sort of advised me, don't Dr. Google anything, it's just such a big area of exploration. What would you even enter, Melly? What would you type into the search bar?
And no matter what you type, you're dead within 2 days, according to Dr. Google.
Yeah. And breast cancer is a huge field. There's so many different sorts of breast cancer. None of this I was aware of. Anyway, so then Monday morning I get a phone call. Yeah, just after. I thought surely by about 8:30, 9 o'clock she'll be open. And she rang me and she said, the results are back and you have breast cancer in that left breast.
Whoa.
And the next thing that I send you on, I was very matter of fact about it. I didn't cry at all. No, I didn't cry at all. I'm a very pragmatic person. I thought, okay, I just want to know the devil I'm dealing with. Okay, so cancer in your left breast. Now I refer you on to another team and the surgeon and everything, and more than likely they'll suggest a lumpectomy, which I thought of as like a shark bite, just take a big bite out of that breast to take away that shadowy thing that they saw. And you have to wait a while for these appointments to come up, and while the time passes, I get this voice in my head. It's my intuition, obviously, and you might ask me, how does it present? I don't know. Are there even words in there? I don't know. It's just this, the back of my head.
It's knowing.
It's knowing, yeah, well said. 2 must go. 2 must go. And I never doubted that the 2 that the voice was referring to were my breasts.
Wow.
So not only was I going to have to ask, request, suggest, plead, take that whole left breast instead of just a shark bite, take the other one as well, because my intuition's telling me that both of them need to go. 2 must go.
Yeah.
So now it's a big journey of trying to convince them, because these surgeons are like, no. A lumpectomy is all we need. We'll save the nipple, all of this stuff, you can have some cosmetic surgery afterwards. I said, no, I don't think you understand. I don't want that breast to, I'm not concerned about, it being uneven or the scar or anything. I want it gone, and take the other one as well. Well, the second surgeon I spoke to said he was really considering sending me for a psych review, because he felt what normal woman would want to have a healthy breast removed. And that's kind of challenging.
That really challenges what you're going through at that time, and your intuition, because that's the truth.
I questioned myself, to be honest. I thought, Sue, have you taken this too far? What's gotten into you? Just because my mantra always is, it is what it is. So I did question whether these people are experts in their field. Maybe I should just trust what they're suggesting. But no, I persisted. I did, and the third surgeon said, well, Sue, in my experience, the customer is always right, and if you want both of them removed, that's fine, we'll do that. And yet I did feel that there was an intonation in his voice that was like, they're there, yes, we'll get you right, little woman, we'll pamper to your request that you're a little bit paranoid, so sure, we'll do it while we're there, we might as well. So it ended up being 4 weeks from the day of diagnosis to the surgery, and I had a bilateral mastectomy, which the experience wasn't too uncomfortable or unpleasant. I just kept saying to them that, I've had a lot of fun with my breasts. They breastfed three of my children, and I've had a lot of fun, but they're trying to kill me, so I don't need them anymore. I was 49, let's not forget, too, Melly. I wasn't in my 20s or 30s or needing them for any reason. And they wanted to convince me that, I might regret having them removed, because I said, I'm not interested in reconstruction. I'm happy not to have breasts. And they said, you might need some psychological attention because you might regret that. Yeah, we can leave some skin so you can have reconstruction afterwards. I said, no, you're trying to talk me into more surgery. No, I'm fine. Anyway, so I stuck with it. So I had my surgery only in one night, discharged the next day with drains and that sort of thing. And then you go for the post-operative results 10 days later. So back down the hill, an hour and a half drive with my husband, and we're waiting, and we're within the public system. And I assure you, there is a lot of waiting, but it was really a long wait. And we thought, wow, something must be going on. Something must be urgent, something happening that they're all gone and they haven't called our name yet. And the breast nurse came out to me and said, doctor's just on the phone with the lab, I think something's, peculiar there. They'll be calling you in shortly. I thought, what could it be? Anyway, my husband and I sit in front of the surgeon and the breast nurse and a secondary doctor, and I thought, this is quite a panel of them all here to tell me that, they've got it all.
Daunting, yeah.
Yes, it was. And they said, normally I'd have a paper version of the results here for you, Sue, but I've just got off the phone from a lab in Brisbane, and they actually said, they received breast tissue that they weren't expecting, that wasn't labelled. So what happened, they sent down my cancerous left breast and my healthy right breast. But when I got to Brisbane, they found cancer in both breasts.
Wow.
And not just a tumour twice as big as the diagnosed breast, right? So the left breast was diagnosed, but the right breast had a tumour twice as big. Both breasts were actually riddled. They had cancerous clusters throughout the breast tissue, behind the nipple, right against the rib wall. So when you think back to that suggestion of having a lumpectomy, a shark bite, that wouldn't have done any good for me, Melly, because there would have been more cancer throughout, So the right thing to do was to have both breasts removed. And what the Brisbane labs told my surgeons, that both breast tissues had to be sliced like a loaf of bread and sent off to individual pathologists. That was the procedure, so that independently they could be tested, and conclusively they found that there was cancer in each slice of breast tissue. So there was hardly any breast that wasn't contaminated.
Wow. Had that spread any further, or was it just...
No, just in the breast tissue, yeah. It hadn't gone into bones, hadn't gone into any other muscle or anything. And the doctor said to me, so your request to have a bilateral mastectomy was really, and he couldn't find the words. And then the breast nurse said, you must have had angels looking after you. And I said, I told you both had to go. And my husband and I had to stop ourselves from turning to each other and high-fiving and going, yes. And even if they'd said, the other breast was perfectly healthy as we had told you, I would have gone fine. What was I going to do with one breast anyway? I didn't need them. I was happy for the wounds to heal and to be flat-chested. So my intuition, as you can see, really played an integral role.
Wow.
In the whole experience.
Yeah, if you hadn't have listened to that, knowing that both of them had to go, you could potentially be dead by now.
Yeah. And I had no experience with breast cancer before. There was no lump, no telltale sign, no family history. I've got 3 sisters, my mother, all our side of the family. Nobody's had this experience before. And it's like, why you? And well, statistically, what is it? 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed. And somebody's got to fill those statistics.
Now.
It is, absolutely. And I don't want to be an advocate for just going for mammograms, because there is that whole campaign of I touch myself, to self-examine. I think it's important for both, and along with that, a really healthy dose of your intuition. If you feel that something is just not right, nobody knows your breasts as well as you. And if you feel that it's looking different or feeling different or lying differently, well, you just follow your intuition and push, push, push until you get an outcome that you're satisfied with.
Yeah. So through this entire journey, how has courage really presented itself for you? And has courage kind of changed from where you started from?
Yes, I think courage has got a really strong voice now in me. You know how I feel like our emotions are just little voices, little people in us, you know, like a bunch of kids. And I often say to my clients, because I've changed my career completely and I'm a counsellor, and I often say to my clients that, you know, sometimes anger will rush forward. You know, you might be shy, but your shyness is just too timid to even say, oh, I'm feeling a bit vulnerable at the moment. But anger is always ready to step forward and go, rah, 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 you know. So my courage has got a really strong voice and is not backwards in coming forward at all. I think I'm more audacious, more tenacious, more ready to not take risks. I live carefully, not fearfully, but I'm just more ready to grab the tiger by the tail, because tomorrow's promised to no one. You know, that white envelope that arrived in the mail changed the course, the trajectory of my life completely. And who would have thought that as it sat in my letterbox, you know? So yeah, courage is something a muscle that I exercise every day by choice.